Have you ever had a goal, like a desire, a milestone that you really want to hit, but you keep self-sabotaging, procrastinating, and you know to one extent or another that you have a limiting belief, which honestly, I like to reframe those into protective beliefs. We'll talk about that later because it helps dissolve them so much quicker. But that's the thing, a limiting belief comes up and it's like you're going against a current. So in today's video, I want to help you identify these limiting beliefs really quickly and support you in untangling them as quickly as possible. And I'm going to be really vulnerable by sharing one of the biggest limiting beliefs I have when it comes to this YouTube channel. I've long shared that I do desire to grow it to over 100,000 subscribers, and I've come to understand one of the deepest rooted limiting beliefs or protective beliefs and how I'm going to untangle it. If we don't know each other, hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Atena. On this channel, we learn to love ourselves unconditionally and we manifest our dream realities. So if that is something you're interested in, you should consider subscribing. Also, a little FYI, your girl's pregnant. I just feel like I need to mention that in every single video. So before you can even unblock a limiting belief, you got to come face to face with what that limiting belief is. If you want to know where in your life you have limiting beliefs, set goals and notice, do you show up for them? Do you keep the momentum going even when you go into a dip? So a dip is naturally when you start a process, like let's say you have fitness goals, you're going to get excited, you're going to hit the gym, you're going to eat well, and then there's a moment that a block is going to come, results aren't coming fast enough, or you're dating some people and it's like you believe at first, you set the intention, I'm manifesting my dream desired partner. That made sense, right? And you go on a couple of dates and then it's like one date's not good, one date's good, and you start having doubts and you start procrastinating in the process because somewhere along the way you are scared of what could come, or you may have entered a relationship and suddenly you realize that true intimacy is going to ask you to get really vulnerable with yourself. And if you're anything like I used to be, I grew up not with a role model when it comes to loving relationships. And when I met my husband and our relationship got deeper and deeper, there were many times where the alarm bells went off because it was like, are we safe to receive this love? Like, I knew logically I was safe, but in my body, it didn't feel safe. Why? Because it was hang on. It felt safe, but it felt foreign. Right? Because I feel very safe in this relationship. However, suddenly it was like, I have to open up my heart more. And I've never done that. And I've never seen it be done. And it might be really crazy, right? And so by being consciously aware, and I'm so grateful, this is around the time that I began to learn hypnotherapy and I became a hypnotherapist because I began to uncover unconscious family loyalties. And this is something I want to share with all of you. Many times your deepest rooted limiting beliefs are actually unconscious family loyalties. So in the back end of your brain, the reptilian part of your brain, you, whether you're conscious of this or not, you want to mimic what your family has done, even if you're your parents' biggest critics. I'm just letting you know, okay? And you've said, oh, I'd never want to be like my mom, or like, I never want to be like my dad. I don't want to be like my parents, and this and that. And there's a part of you that unconsciously wants to repeat the cycle because it's like there's this mentality of the reptilian brain of if you get off the herd. I don't know how to, why am I not explaining? See, sometimes with, I don't want to blame it on pregnancy brain, but we're going to get to the point. I promise you. Okay. You are born into a family. Now, with that family, you are in your tribe, right? The brain is still, even though it's 2015, wow, 2025, it still has a tribal energy in some ways. Now, think of it back in the day. If you're with your tribe in the middle of frickin' nowhere And all of a sudden, everyone in your tribe is doing one thing. They're saying, okay, we're going to stay in this vicinity and this is all we're going to do. But you're like, but I want to explore. I want to go further. I want to go 50 miles away from here, but no one from your family has. And you could tell them each time, oh my gosh, you're so lame, you're so boring, you got to this, blah, blah, blah. You can have all these criticisms, but then you're going to venture out on your own. And at first it can seem exciting, but then there's the fear in the brain activates, the amygdala especially, it activates and it's like, what if I don't make it and I'm alone and then I can't come back because I'm going to be too different? And I know that sounds dramatic, but that's literally what happens with our limiting beliefs that we take on from our childhood. When it's that deep, those are the hardest ones to break. So if you've noticed within yourself that you have money patterns, love patterns, business patterns, social connection patterns that are continuously coming up, take a moment and even call your parents and say, hey, by the way, what's your belief on friendship? Just out of curiosity, I'm just like reading this book, and don't tell them you're examining them because they won't like it. I'm just letting you know. But say, hey, I'm reading this study on money and I'm just curious, like, what do you think about money? And it'll be so interesting for you to hear. Now, there is also another way for you to unlock what your limiting beliefs are, and we're going to use Chatgpt. And before you say anything, because actually I'm talking to my past self, because I was like, no, you shouldn't use Chatgpt. Chatgpt has its place. It is not perfect, but it has its place and it can support you. And I actually used it for this practice for my YouTube channel. And I'm going to read you the question. I have my computer here open to good old Chatgpt. I'm going to write it here for you as well. So I wrote exactly this prompt. Can you act as my neuroscience and manifestation coach and ask me questions one by one to help me get to the root of my limiting belief around reaching 100K subscribers on YouTube? And so good old Chatgpt like asked me some questions, like what are some of the emotions you feel? And then we went deeper and deeper and deeper. And what really came to life, and it actually wasn't quite a shocker for me, because I view YouTube as such an expressive outlet. I've learned so much about even myself. Like, you'll see YouTubers, whether you have 500 subscribers, 10 subscribers, or 10 million subscribers, if you are actually talking face to face to the camera, you are going to come head to head with yourself. And one thing that I've noticed is that this represents my self-expression. It also represents me growing a brand and a business. And I noticed sometimes I really am scared to talk about certain things, because while on the surface, I'm proud to share say, Chinese, come. Sorry, my dog. While on the surface, I'm proud to share some of the things. On the deeper end, I'm scared. I have this fear of judgment. And I think every creator kind of has that fear of judgment. It's kind of a given, right? So when you get judged by a group of people, again, the amygdala gets activated and that fear response the emotional brain gets triggered. And this is something kind of like a no-brainer limiting belief that every creator goes through. But for me, I noticed it went even deeper, because part of my fear is I'm afraid of saying something that would potentially offend my mom. My dad, I don't care so much. We have a very different relationship. He was not really in my life. I had to do a lot of healing when it comes to what I went through in that dynamic. But first of all, he's not going to come on my YouTube channel. Second of all, if he sees it and doesn't want to talk to me, I'm going to be like, okay. Like, I'll be hurt, but I will be like, okay. Like, you haven't really been a part of my life. This isn't the moment that you're going to come in and judge me. But my mom was my primary caregiver, and I was hyper dependent on her in my childhood. And the thing is that there have been times where I've said things that have triggered her, and like I've received long messages, or in real life, not that YouTube is not real life, but I've said things that are perhaps against what she believes, and it has led to us not talking for prolonged periods of time. And so that fear of hesitancy really stems from that dynamic. Now, it's up to me as an adult to correct it, because does it hurt my feelings when that happens? Absolutely. But am I unsafe? No. It's very uncomfortable and emotionally challenging. But when I wrote inside ChatGPT, or ChatGPT answered back, if you knew for certain that you would be emotionally resilient, even if the judgment comes, how do you feel? And the resounding feeling was excited, like this is a part of who I am. This is a part of what I desire to create. And so that's how I know that that's a limiting belief. Limiting beliefs do not feel good in your body. They drain your life force energy supply. They drain your soul energy supply. And so one of my affirmations has become, my truth creates connection. My truth creates connection. The old story was that visibility will end in judgment and abandonment, but now my truth is that my truth creates a connection. And I also got to trust in that relationship with my mom, because at the end of the day, my mom is also a full-grown adult, right? Like we've had every relationship between mother and daughter, moments of tension, where we maybe don't talk to each other as well. And there's perhaps a belief before that I had that we have to always be in contact for me to know that that love and support is there. But I am about to have my own baby, right? And it's like, if I am too scared to speak because I'm afraid of hurting someone else's feelings or being abandoned by that person, that says more about how I perceive and how I operate than the other person, right? I don't know if that made sense, but it made sense. It made sense in my head. So I'm sharing this on camera as a proof that I have not just recognized it, but I'm devoted to walking my path of truth. And I highly encourage you, if you feel safe, to write in the comments, if you go through this process, especially with ChatGPT, what is something, a limiting belief that has come up that you are noticing? And ChatGPT will even give you some prompts of how to overcome it. But that's one way to expose a limiting beliefs, just let others know when you feel safe, though, I would say. We have this group, by the way, I will shamelessly plug it in because we are awesome. The It's Possible group. It's Possible community. I will link it below so that if you want to join, we are a high vibe community and we really support each other when it comes to limiting beliefs. We have manifestation challenges. We just did a Delulu challenge. We're going to have an mirror affirmation challenge coming up. I haven't announced it to the community yet, but they're going to know. And it's just one of those things where, again, if you think about the primal brain, when you are in a group of humans who support you, because your brain is also a social organ, right? It wants to belong. Your brain wants you to belong. That's just a core need we all have. So when you're in a group that is supportive and we go in with the same energy and the same intention, it's so much easier to bust through limiting beliefs. Even for me with this YouTube channel, I'm in a YouTube group. We talk about our limiting beliefs. We talk a lot of strategy, but we talk about limiting beliefs. And I feel so safe in that group to talk about it. And what happens is that not only do you feel safe going off on your own, right? Because you're not on your own. Because if you were that example before of staying inside that tribe where your family is, if there was another group that said, hey, we got you, we're all in this together, and you actually genuinely feel that safety, suddenly you can all take on the discomfort together. And there's another benefit of when you go inside a group. The thing is that there's these things called the mirror neurons that are activated. So one person's bravery triggers another person's bravery, triggers another person's bravery. And again, this is why I'm choosing to just share my truth with you on camera, because whether you end up commenting or not, because actually I've met quite a few of you who, you should still click the like button, please. If you enjoy the content, please give me the thumbs up, because it does help me out as a creator. But I've met some of you who don't leave comments and you come to me privately, whether it's through Instagram DM, whether it's through email, whether it's through face-to-face in life, right? And you've shared with me that when I shared this, it helped you heal that. And the reason is because we encourage each other, we inspire each other, and it's like seeing my safety, standing in my safety and my truth inspires you to stand in your safety and in your truth. And it also promotes taking divine action versus forced action. And I find that when we're in a group and we are all devoted to that same journey of our becoming, like when I say same journey, I mean, I don't mean we're all doing the same thing. Like my dreams might not be the same as your dreams. Maybe you don't care about having 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, but perhaps you are also devoted to letting go of those past safety beliefs and affirming newer beliefs that allow you to feel more expressive and more joyful and more alive, right? So that's our commonality potentially. But what happens is that we co-regulate our nervous systems, which I like to refer to this as your vibration system. Because if I can breathe with my fears in front of you, with you, suddenly I can face those fears in a whole different way than if I'm isolated and by myself, I'm being judged and I think that I'm wrong the whole time, if that makes sense. So that co-regulation is real. And again, the part about belonging, we all have this desire and this need actually to belong. We're not meant to be cast away living by ourselves on an island. Like it's an unnatural state. In fact, there is a study I remember reading. This is way back in the day when I moved to this country and I felt really alone, that people who don't have their social circles, it's actually detrimental to their health. And anyways, there's so many other things that come, like actual scientific articles that have come up of how being in social circles is so imperative for your emotional and physical health and state of being. So if you have been seeking a community to raise your vibration, to bust limiting beliefs, and to become your most authentic self, I hope you join us in the It's Possible community. I hope you subscribe to this channel, you leave your girl a comment, and until the next video, I love you so much, and I will see you there. Mwah.